You never see cars like this ever. This is a perfect, or as perfect as you're going to find in the world, Volvo S60R. This is for certain, in my mind, going to be a future collectible, and probably sooner than you might think. Now in this video, we're going to take a drive in this incredible Volvo S60R straight from the Volvo Heritage Collection here in California, and talk about what makes these cars so special. Now the S60 and this car's sister model, the V70, were, at their core, very competent family cars that really emphasize safety over anything else. They were comfortable, they were fairly reliable, but what Volvo did was inject some of that 850R magic with the badge, not only on the V70, but the S60. And these cars are becoming pretty rare and incredibly collectible in today's world, and this car shares a really near and dear place in my heart, which I'll talk about in a second. But cars like this, they're just honest, right? They're not trying to be flashy. They're not trying to be over the top. They're just supposed to be simple with a little hint that there's something special going on underneath the hood. Now, this kind of, when I was a kid, was a definition of a sleeper to me because the engine in these was pretty special. Let me go ahead and, here, we'll give you a quick teaser at this interior, which is absurd. Go ahead and pop the hood on this and show you what powered the S60 and V70R. So, rather than having a 4-cylinder turbo, like pretty much every modern day front-wheel drive car today, these were powered by a 5-cylinder, a transverse mounted 5-cylinder turbo. And the power numbers on these for the early 2000s were pretty incredible. 300 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque if you got the manual. If I remember correctly, I think the automatics were a little bit down on power. Now that was big, big, big power for what, 2003, 2004? And there's very little to someone who doesn't know these cars to tell that there's something special under the hood. You get a little bit of front-end treatment there. You get these very special 5-spoke wheels, which still look great to this day. It's a simple, elegant design. 4-piston front brakes. Those wheels out back. And then in the rear, a little bit of changes to the fascia and those dual exhausts pointing out the back there. But not much to let you know there's something truly unusual underneath the hood. Now, hopping inside these cars, this is the most insane feature that was optional on these models, the interior. This is called Atacama, and there's no way to go around it. This is a bright orange interior. It is unbelievably cool and very, very desirable if you can find one in good shape. Now, these seats had a tendency to wear really badly, but because this is a pristine example right out of the collection, it looks perfect in here. And then hopping inside, if you're a Volvo fan, that view out the front is legendary. The blue face gauges in these cars, one of the coolest features, but not the coolest. The coolest has to be down here, the space ball. This was how Volvo incorporated the 6-speed manual into the interior of these cars, was this floating in space metallic, maybe semi-metallic ball that just hovers where you'd expect you know, a typical leather boot. It looks incredible, and the throws are pretty long, but it doesn't matter because what an unusual look. Simple, basic radio, simple, basic climate control. It's got the feature down here to lower the headrests. You've got your stability control, and then this was cool too, the active chassis setting. You had 3 different levels of suspension. And let me go ahead and get the key out. We'll show you what that looks like. Classic Volvo key with the R on the back. Let's go ahead and stick it in the ignition, fire it up, and see what this thing sounds like. Such an unusual rumble. You just don't hear that sound in modern day cars with that 5-cylinder growl. Oh, we got to get this thing on the road and see what it drives like. I can't express to you how important this car is to me, and this video is a little selfish because I don't know how many people are going to click on it, but I wanted to bring you guys along on this because this is one of my top 10 all-time bucket cars. Genuinely, I'd rather be behind the wheel of this car now than Bugatti Veyron, because this is essentially the car that made all this happen for me. This is the car that got me into cars. When I was a kid, probably 7 or 8 years old, my dad went out and custom ordered a brand new Volvo V70R. And being there in the showroom with him as a little guy, when they pulled that cover off, and I saw that bright red exterior color and the space ball. And then he took me for that first ride and I got to feel what a turbocharger felt like when you're 7 or 8 years old. It's gonna make me a little emotional almost, but that's the car that single-handedly over anything was like, yes, this is what I want to do with my life. So being able to get into the cousin of that car in perfect condition and just to say I've driven one like my dad did when he was a kid, not a lot of people are this fortunate to be able to live out that fantasy. Some other cool things, check this out. It's a little bit unusual. Because this car belongs to Volvo, they have the literature associated with this car. Look at that. It started with a notion, a belief that true performance cannot solely exist on a test track in a vacuum, that speed is also a measure of agility and reflex, not just acceleration and velocity. Oh my gosh, that is so cool. Look at that. Unbelievable. And there's a comparison to what Volvo was targeting back in the day. Look at that. So you know the A4, E36 3 Series, G35, that's a throwback, Mercedes C320, 300 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque back in 2004. 0 to 60, 5.4 seconds for the S60, 5.6 for the V70, which was like, when you're a kid and your dad owns that, you're cooler than any kid in the world. This is cool too. Look at all these color swatches. This was a really special color available on these cars. That is just so cool. But anyway, enough geeking out about that. Let's go ahead and see what these things are like to drive. You know, I've never driven one of these, and I'd like to actually own one of these, preferably the wagon, because they're just a little cooler. Oh, that thrum is so cool. All right, let's see what it felt like. My dad in 2008, or 2005, excuse me. First gear. Oh, the clutch is so light and so linear. Oh, this is wonderful. You know, I've always heard these old Volvos had the best seats in the world. They have the best seats in the world. Not even if you just like, let's say you don't want the Atacama, which I understand. It's just amazing. They just are so comfortable yet supportive. It's like being hugged by your favorite grandma. Doesn't sound super, it doesn't sound super complimentary, but what I'm saying is like it's supportive and it feels like your destiny is encompassed in these seats. All right, I'm definitely losing it a little bit, but on the road, steering is heavy, but it does have hydraulic power steering, and you can really feel what's going on with that front end. Now these were standard all-wheel drive, but they used something called a Halodex all-wheel drive, which was front-wheel drive biased, kind of a slip then grip system. I remember too, driving around in this in Colorado winters, it wasn't that refined. There was a big noticeable amount of slip and then a big noticeable amount of grip. All right, now I'm gonna be a little gentle in this car because it's a museum piece, but I gotta build into the throttle at least a little to say I've done it. Whoa, wow. That was the slip and then the grip I'm telling you about. It just tore the front end off and then it gave me a little punch in the back once that Halodex engaged. That was crazy. It's interesting how quiet this car is. You know, modern cars, performance cars are all loud and shouty, but this is whisper quiet. You can't hear anything out of that 5-cylinder except for just a subtle little growl up an intake. Whoa, whoa! This is genuinely quick. What the heck? You know how many old cars I drive that claim to be quick and are all dog slow? This thing boogies. Ooh. And there's that old school turbo lag too. You gotta wait a little bit, 2,500, 3,000 RPM and then it hits. Now the suspension is incredibly soft. This is not what I would describe as a performance suspension by modern standards. But I could put it in advanced. And then maybe it'll get rock hard. Turning radius is horrible. I do remember that as well. Oh, but this just feels right. Being able to drive a small sports sedan in 2025 with the manual transmission and that 5-cylinder growl, it does sound a little bit like an RS3. This is incredible. I just want to drive this 250,000 miles. Oh, by the way, that's what everybody did. That's why it's impossible to find these. Now, these aren't known for being particularly reliable in the long run. Particularly that Halodex does need servicing and it can be expensive. Oh, that Advance just has turned those springs into rocks. So you can firm it up. So you get soft, and rocks. Oh man, but this mechanical feeling out of this car, this is just the best. Oh, it's fast. Genuinely quick, even today. I'm floored I gotta have one of these. It's official. You know, I thought I wanted one, thought maybe they were overhyped, but I have to have one. I have to. This is unbelievably good. Oh, yep, this is cool. This was worth it. Now, is this competitor to an E46 M3? No. Is it a competitor to an E46 330? Yeah. 100% I would get this over a nice E46 330. And a wagon now, a good wagon's $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 easy. Sedans typically a little bit less, but I don't care. I just want one, you know? I don't care if it has 1,000,000 miles on it. If it runs and drives, I think I need one in my life. Guys, let me know what you think in the comment section below about me nerding out over this very, very special S60R. Thank you to Volvo for flying me out to California to be able to experience this, and we'll see you in the next one.